The Mind's Deceptive Ways, a spiritual discourse on understanding the mind. If you understand the tricks of the mind, you understand everything. Once you recognize the mind, there's nothing left to recognize. The moment you comprehend how the mind works, consciousness becomes absorbed in itself. Until you understand this, you keep following the mind blindly, believing that the mind is your guru, that whatever it says is right, whatever it shows is correct. The paradox of doubt. Once doubt arises about your own mind, a revolution begins in your life. And here's the irony. The mind doubts everything else, but you never doubt the mind itself. Your faith in the mind is absolute, endless. Even when the mind throws you into ditches day after day, your faith doesn't break. People come to me and say, "Our faith has been shaken." I tell them, looking at the unwavering faith people have in their minds, it doesn't seem like anyone's faith has been shaken at all. No matter how much the mind misleads you, torments you, or confuses you, the faith remains unshaken. The faith is abundant, just pointed in the wrong direction. Two types of faith. I've never met a person without faith. Faith can be misdirected. It can be placed where it shouldn't be, but no one is faithless. There are only two types of faith: faith in the mind and faith in the soul. Either you trust yourself, and by yourself, I mean that place where not even a whisper of the mind exists, where not a single thought floats, where there is pure consciousness. If you have faith in that pure consciousness, you'll never fall into any pit in life. Your feet will never step wrong. Or you place your faith in the mind, then you'll find nothing but pits everywhere you go. Then wherever you turn in life, you'll wander lost, because that's the very nature of the mind. The mind keeps you blind. Understand this trick of the mind. The mind doesn't let you see. The mind keeps you blind. It keeps your eyes clouded, filled with smoke. That smoke is nothing but thoughts. The mind runs thoughts with such intensity that you don't even get a moment to see what is happening outside you, what's occurring in her life. The mind keeps you tangled in thoughts like we give toys to a small child. Even if the child's mother is dying, the child keeps playing with those toys, absorbed in them. The mind gives you thoughts. Thoughts are toys. Toys at least have some truth to them. Thoughts don't even have that much. But before you can even tire of one toy, the mind instantly creates another. Before you can wake up and see clearly, the mind hands you a new toy. When you get bored of the old one, the mind suggests new entanglements. One trouble hasn't even ended before the mind ignites interest in 10 new troubles. And this happens with such speed that there is not even enough space between events to create a window through which you could see what is really happening in life. Mulla Nasruddin's wedding. I've heard that when Mulla Nasruddin became very old, 90 years old, he had a large, full family. His eldest son was over 70. His grandsons were past 50. His great-grandsons were married and had children of their own. Suddenly one day, Nasruddin announced, "I've decided to get married again." His wife had died. At first, his sons thought it was a joke and laughed. Now, in this old age, when even we are old, father must be joking. But when Nasruddin repeated it again and again, they took it seriously. And when one morning Nasruddin announced, "I've even chosen the girl," the whole matter became serious. The entire family gathered. They discussed how embarrassing this would be. People would laugh. Nasruddin had made people laugh his whole life, and now in his old age, he was creating one last spectacle. What would people say? They sent the eldest son to talk to him. What he heard shocked him even more. Nasruddin had decided to marry a dyer's daughter who lived nearby. The girl was barely 16 years old. The son said, "This can't happen, father. Stop this. Just drop this idea. Consider this. The girl is only 16 years old." Nasruddin replied, "You fool. 16 is exactly the age for marriage. And besides, when I married your mother, she was also 16. What's wrong with that?" The mind's logic The mind is giving logic. The mind doesn't look backward. The mind doesn't look at itself. The mind only looks at others. The sons were very troubled and consulted with elders. They even asked the doctor. The doctor said, "This is very dangerous. Marriage at this age could be life-threatening." Then they sent the son, well coached, to explain. The son said, "We've all consulted and deliberated. The doctor says it could be life-threatening." "Don't gamble with your life," Nasruddin said. "You fool! If this girl dies, so what? There's no shortage of girls. We'll find another one." The mind always looks outward. The mind never looks backward, never looks at itself. The mind always searches in others. It seeks happiness from others, wants to obtain peace from others, attributes suffering to others. The gaze is always fixed on others, when it should be fixed on oneself. This is the fundamental basis of all the mind's troubles. Vision focused on the other. What does the other have to do with you? The other is not fundamental, you are fundamental. But the mind always misleads. If you're suffering, the mind says, "Surely someone else is making you suffer." So you blame your suffering on someone. When you're happy, the mind also says, "Happiness is coming because of someone else." So you attribute your happiness to others too. And the beautiful thing is, suffering comes from your own causes, happiness comes from your own causes. Hell is within, heaven is within. Ultimately, you are the decisive factor. The nature of interpretation, because it depends on your interpretation. What is happiness and what is suffering? If you choose, happiness becomes like suffering. If you choose, suffering becomes like happiness. Everything changes in an instant. The other is not decisive, but the mind always keeps you stuck on the other. And you've been doing this for lifetimes, blaming others. Then you can't find the source. You can't, because you're not looking where happiness and suffering arise from. If your gaze reaches the place where happiness and suffering arise, you'll drop both happiness and suffering. Then what remains is bliss. Then the fragrance you'll receive, the aroma that will fill your life, that is liberation. The futile effort to change others, when you look at others, thinking, "The other is giving me suffering," your effort becomes to change the other. It's natural. If something gives suffering, change it so suffering doesn't come. You're engaged in changing countless people. The wife is trying to change the husband. The husband is trying to change the wife. The father is trying to change the son. The son is trying to change the father. Friends are trying to change. Friends, everyone is engaged in changing each other. But how can you change the other? The other is independent. They have their own destiny, their own foundation, their own center, their own source from which their thoughts and feelings arise. You cannot change the other. If you can change anyone, it's yourself, but that's where you never look. The mind doesn't let you look there. The interconnection of happiness and suffering. As soon as someone looks at themselves, they find that happiness arises from here, suffering arises from here. Not only that, very quickly, they begin to see that every happiness has its suffering attached. Every flower has its thorn beside it. Every day has its night hidden behind it. As you go inward, it becomes clear. If you choose happiness, you've also chosen suffering. Every happiness has its own suffering. Every heaven has its hell, not far away at all, but joined together. They have the same door. As soon as you choose happiness, you've chosen suffering. Like two sides of the same coin. When this becomes visible first, that happiness and suffering arise from within. Second, that every happiness and suffering are joined, then no difference remains between suffering and happiness. And the person who realizes there's no difference between heaven and hell drops both. The mind tries to drop suffering and preserve happiness. The wise person drops both, because both either remain together or go together. The coin metaphor. How will you preserve one side of a coin? If you try, the other side will also be preserved. At most, you can flip it so the side you like is face up, and the side you don't like is face down. But it's hidden there. Underneath every lamp is darkness, and beneath every happiness hides suffering. Sooner or later, what's hidden will emerge. And here is an important law of life. If you've kept happiness on top and experienced happiness, the happiness will be exhausted. When happiness is exhausted, suffering must begin to emerge. What you've experienced gets used up. What you haven't experienced remains saved. Who will experience it? You've spent one side. Now the other side remains. Now that must also be experienced. The second realization. This is the second realization of the inward traveler. Happiness and suffering are joined, which means happiness is suffering. There's no difference between them at all. The difference was the mind's delusion because of the mind's crooked ways. Both happiness and suffering fall away. You don't even have to drop them. This awareness, this realization, this experience that both are one, then you don't even have to drop them. It's like holding a burning coal in your hand. Do you have to drop it? Once you understand it's a burning coal, it drops. When the house is on fire, do you have to try to get out? Once you know there's a fire, you'll be outside. You won't even ask, which way should I exit? What's the proper etiquette? What's the civilized path? When the house is on fire, you'll jump out any window. You won't ask whether it's proper or improper, polite or impolite. When the house is on fire, who asks about etiquette? You'll leap out any way you can. The path to liberation. Just this awareness that the house is on fire and you're out. Similarly, as someone goes inward, happiness and suffering become one, and instantly they drop away. What remains is liberation. What remains is you. What remains is the divine. But the mind doesn't let you go inward. The mind says, the other gave you suffering. The mind says, the other gave you happiness. The mind keeps you stuck on the other. This is the mind's first trick. The mind shows only half. The mind's second trick. It always shows you half and doesn't let you see the other half. Like when we look at the moon, we see half the moon. The other half is invisible. That side remains hidden. The mind always sees only half of whatever it sees. The mind cannot see the whole. Forget the moon if you hold even a small pebble in your hand. A tiny grain of sand, you still can't see it completely. Half will be visible. The other half, which is on that side, will remain hidden. The mind is an arrangement for seeing only half. That's why the mind creates duality, because it sees half and thinks, this is the whole. Then it sees the other half and thinks, this is the whole. And it can never see both together, so how can it consider them one? Where one exists, the mind sees two. Therefore, where there is one, the mind sees two. And when you've seen two instead of one, the world is created. You see, this person is a friend, and that person is an enemy. But a friend has an enemy hidden within a friend, can become an enemy at any time. And an enemy has a friend hidden within. An enemy can become a friend at any time. There's no barrier, no obstacle. Your love contains hatred. Your hatred contains love. But the mind sees by dividing into two. Hatred separate, love separate, enemy separate, friend separate, happiness separate, suffering separate. And when you see one as two, then whatever you do will be wrong. A mistake began at the foundation. The error occurred from the very start. The drunkard's vision, Mulla Nasruddin, was returning home one night drunk. A drunkard begins to see multiple things where there is one. If you've ever drunk alcohol or been in a cannabis haze, you know that one thing begins to look like 2, 3, 4. As the intoxication increases, what happens? As intoxication increases, your inner consciousness begins to tremble. Its steadiness is lost. Its peace is lost. Consciousness begins to shake. And when consciousness shakes, because of its vibration, one thing appears as many like when the moon is reflected in a lake. If the lake is still and calm, one moon appears. Throw a pebble in the lake. Ripples rise, The lake vibrates, it shakes. Now one moon has broken into 1,000 moons. If you shake the lake violently enough, the moon won't be visible at all, just fragments of the moon scattered across the entire lake. The moon is one. The lake has shaken. Nasruddin and the lock intoxication shakes your consciousness. The lake has shaken. Now things begin to appear multiple. Mulla Nasruddin has come home, drowned in intoxication. He's trying to put the key in the lock, but the key won't go into the lock. He can't match the hole and the key. His hands are shaking. A policeman standing on the street is watching. Finally, he said, "Nasruddin, shall I help? Shall I put the key in the lock?" Nasruddin said, "If you really want to help, hold the house steady so I can put the key in." Nasruddin doesn't see that he's shaking. He thinks the house is shaking. Hold the house steady. The tree in the fog another day. Nasruddin was returning home similarly intoxicated. He collided with a tree. He got into big trouble. The tree was one, but he was seeing two. So he was trying to pass between the two, but there was no way to pass between them. He kept trying to pass between them. Every time he tried, his head hit. He tried many times, then he shouted loudly, "This is going to kill me. This isn't just one tree, it's a whole forest. There isn't a single tree I can pass through. There are so many trees." The dog in the mirror palace. There's an old story. A dog entered a royal palace. The king of that palace had built the palace entirely of mirrors. The walls had mirrors upon mirrors. It was made entirely of glass. The dog got into trouble. Wherever he looked, he saw many dogs. He panicked. This isn't just one or two dogs. It looks like a whole army of dogs. And there was no way to escape. They were surrounding him from all sides. And as dogs do, first he tried to scare them thinking they might get frightened. But the more he tried to scare the dogs, the more they scared him, because they were his own reflections. As soon as the dog lunged and barked, thousands of dogs lunged and barked because they weren't there at all. They were just his shadows. The dog crashed into the mirrors, lunging at them. His head became bloodied from attacking his own reflections. In the morning, the dog was found dead. There was no one there at all. The nature of Maya, where there was nothing at all, even there the vibrations within you create false existence. We have called this false existence Maya, illusion. Maya is not outside, it's because of your shaking mind. What exists is one, but it appears as many. And your effort is the same as what Mulla Nasruddin told the policeman. Just hold the house steady, and I'll put the key in the lock. Your effort is also this, how to make the house steady. No one has ever been able to. The wise ones gave up worrying about the house and steadied themselves. Everything becomes steady. What's needed is for the intoxication to lift. The house is steady. It has never shaken. This existence has never shaken. It's absolutely still, completely absorbed in itself, immersed in its own nature. You have shaken, but you're trying to steady the existence. The mind creates duality. The mind is the formula for duality, and also for multiplicity. Things passing through the mind become like this. If you let a ray of sunlight pass through a piece of glass, take a piece of glass with multiple facets, called a prism. The ray enters it as one. When it emerges from it, it becomes seven. That's why a rainbow forms. A rainbow forms because during rainy days, water droplets hang in the air. Those water droplets function as prisms. The sun's ray passes through those water droplets, breaks, and becomes seven. Seven colors become visible. The world is a rainbow that has passed through your mind. The ray of the divine is one. Its light is one. The nature of existence is one. Existence is one. But from the hanging droplet of your mind, the one passes through and breaks into seven. Everything becomes fragmented. And the mind says, this is the truth. Meditation. Returning behind the mind, and the mind never lets you look back to where the seven originated, where the seven were born from the one. All meditation practices are efforts to return behind the mind. The mind's third crook trick. The mind is very logical. It gives logic for everything. And it gives logic so smoothly that even you begin to feel, well, the argument is right. Existence beyond logic. Existence is much bigger than logic. And the mind creates small, neat courtyards of logic clean. Everything seems just right. But beyond the courtyard lies existence, which is illogical. It's not like logic. It's not some mathematical exercise. It's more like poetry than mathematics. Even more than poetry, it's an experience of mystery. So the mind says, God cannot exist at all. Where is he? Show me, because whatever exists can be shown. And you say God is everywhere, that everything is God, so show me. Prove it. The mind has raised a question you won't be able to answer. Because God cannot be shown. He is the seer. He's not outside as something seen. He's inside you as the witness, the nature of consciousness. And the mind has raised a question that's very troublesome. It says, show me. You won't be able to show. So the mind will laugh and say, you're foolish, ignorant, a believer in blind faith. You believe in what cannot be shown. The mind says, we only believe in experience. Until there's experience, we don't believe. The mind seems to be speaking correctly. The logic has no flaw anywhere. The flaw is so fundamental that until you move a little away from the mind, you won't understand. The mind says, show me God as something visible. But God's nature is not like something visible. God's nature is like the witness, like the observer. God is consciousness, not an object. Consciousness cannot be seen. Consciousness can be merged into. Consciousness cannot be proven by mathematics. Consciousness can only be experienced in a mysterious realization. Consciousness cannot be captured in a laboratory. If you try to capture it, you'll lose it. The laboratory experiment: take a living person to a laboratory. Cut them limb from limb. You'll find bones, flesh, marrow, skin, blood. You'll find aluminum, iron, all the metals. But one thing you won't find: the soul. You'll find a corpse. You won't find life, because as soon as you cut, life disappears. It's like someone analyzing a flower. I show you a flower and say, look, this rose is so beautiful. And you say, where is the beauty? I see pink color, I accept that. There are petals, they're soft, I accept that. There's fragrance, I accept that. But show me the beauty itself. Prove it in a laboratory. Analyzing beauty so you tear apart the flower. The living petals wither, become dead. Where the stream of sap flowed, it dries up. Where fragrance arose, soon the fragrance will disappear. Then you do a chemical analysis of the petals. You'll be able to show in small labeled bottles, this much of this substance, this much of that substance. But there won't be a single bottle among them where you can say, this much beauty. Life is mystery, the mind is logical. Life is a mystery. Life is not mathematics. Life is not a shopkeeper's accounting. Life is a lover's experience. Life is a poet's voice. Life is a musician's wave. Life is like beauty, like poetry, like love. Life is the supreme mystery. And the mind says, mathematics. The mind's trick is very crooked. Keep this in mind. Then this verse of Kabir will become completely clear. Chalit kat teta deta re. Kabir says, why does the mind walk so crookly? Why doesn't it go straight? And the mind walks very crookly. Have you ever watched a drunk person walk? They can't walk straight. They walk crookly, one foot in this direction, the other foot in that direction. That's why they're often found fallen in a ditch. You woe and find a drunk person fallen in the middle of the road. They be found fallen in the ditch. They walk crookly. The crookedness of logic. The crookedness is this. Where there's mystery, it raises logic. Logic is a very crooked thing. There's nothing more crooked in this world than logic. Because with logic, you can prove what exists doesn't exist. With logic, you can prove what doesn't exist does exist. But these are castles built in the air. They have no meaning in existence. The guava paradox Mulla Nasruddin's son returned from school. He'd been educated at the university. He came home with the highest degree. As often happens with children returning from university, they're eager to show how much they've learned, how educated they've become. They want to impress. And all children returning from university consider their parents fools. They were sitting down to dinner in the evening. Nasruddin's wife brought and placed 2 guavas on a plate. The son said, "See what amazing things are taught at university. I'm a graduate in logic." He said to his mother, "How many guavas are in this plate?" His mother said, 2. The son said, "I can prove with logic that there are 3. The mother became curious. Nasruddin just sat quietly, watching. The mother became interested. She said, "Go ahead, prove it." The son said, "Look, this guava is 1. This guava is 2. 2 and 1 together make how many?" The mother said, "Well, the argument is right. 2 and 1 make 3. The mother, simple and innocent, got a bit confused. The son looked at Nasruddin. Nasruddin said, "Absolutely right. 1 I'll take. Your mother will eat 2. You eat the 3rd. Logic versus life. Logic is air. It cannot be eaten. Logic cannot be lived. Logic cannot be experienced. But logic weighs heavily on the mind, and the mind operates by logic. Therefore, you're deprived of life. Life is simple and straightforward. Nothing is simpler and easier than it. Logic is crooked. That S.Y. Kabir says, "Chalat kat teta teta re." Why doesn't it walk straight? The path is clear and straight. Why does it wander here and there? Why does it speak such confused, wandering talk? Understanding your mind. Try to understand your mind. As long as you keep doing only logic, understand that you're going very crookedly. As long as that's happening, you'll remain deprived of what could be found simply and directly. The temple doors are open. The path is straight and clear. There's not even a slight obstacle. But the mind leads you here and there. The mind takes you off the path. The mind misleads you, and it does so with such skill that you never even realize it. The restless seeker, a friend, came to me recently. He said, "My mind is very restless, and peace has become absolutely necessary now. Otherwise I can't live. I even have thoughts of suicide." He's wealthy. He has all comforts and conveniences. He's held high positions in politics. I asked him, "Then pray." He said, "My mind doesn't feel like praying." "Meditate," he said. "I have absolutely no desire to meditate." The mind is restless, but you still won't meditate? The mind is restless, yet you still keep listening to the mind? The mind has brought you to the verge of suicide. I say pray, you say there's no desire. The mind that brought you to the edge of suicide, your faith in it hasn't broken. The mind is restless, yet faith remains in the very thing that has given so much unrest. The final paradox, I say, drop this. Stop following it. He says, I haven't come to you to go beyond the mind. I just want peace of mind. Now this is the great game. And this is how the mind's logic entangles you. The mind says it wants peace of mind. But peace of mind never happens, because as long as there's mind, there's no peace. The mind itself is unrest. So is the mind ever going to become peaceful? Have you ever heard of anyone's mind becoming peaceful? It's like going to a doctor and asking, give me some remedy so my disease becomes healthy. You will become healthy. The disease won't become healthy. You will become peaceful. The mind won't become peaceful. And as long as there's disease, how can you be healthy? And you're asking for medicine to make the disease healthy. The ocean metaphor, a storm arises in the ocean. Waves rise like mountains. In that moment, the ocean is restless. The storm is raging. Do you ask, when the ocean becomes peaceful, what will happen? Will the storm remain peacefully remaining? The storm won't remain. Peace means the storm is gone. Peace means the absence of disturbance. Peace means the mind is not. When you understand the mind's crooked ways, when you see how it keeps you blind, how it shows only half, how it entangles you in logic, then the path becomes clear. The journey inward begins. And what remains when the mind drops away is your true nature, pure consciousness, pure bliss, liberation itself.